everyone. Welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we're going to update you on the city's efforts to develop a bike and pedestrian plan and also a very fun event that is around this exercise. My guests are Alison Alexander from Planning and Tregg Hartley from the Peninsula Bicyclists Association. Welcome. Welcome back, I should say, because you guys were here to kick off this effort.
We were here a few months ago, I guess.
So let me just, since then, one of the things you guys did was conducted some input, some citizen input about opportunities for bicycling and walking and running in the city. What are some of the things you found out and you heard during that process? Right.
We've done some community outreach. We've done some actual public meetings that people could come in person and participate. And then we also did an online survey. We got a lot of good feedback from that. And one of the really big things that we found was that people don't ride their bikes and they don't walk because of safety concerns. Partially, they think that cyclists and pedestrians don't know the rules of the road, and then they think that the drivers are somewhat scary. So one of the things that we wanted to do was develop an actual event to celebrate the plan that we're working on. It's in its draft form right now. Hopefully it'll be coming forward for adoption to City Council in November or December. But then this event will get people out to actually do some biking and walking and give them an opportunity to better learn those rules of the road and get moving about a bit.
Well, and I think, too, starting as a group exercise may help people get some comfort level. Because, I mean, I know riding alone as a bicyclist, there's a few roads where it makes me nervous. Yes. And I don't have a lot of comfort. I've been talking to Tregg to get some ideas about, you know, how to do that. But well, then let's do the event first. You are going to have all kinds of stuff to get us familiar and comfortable with riding, walking, running. I'm not going to do the running part, but I think I could do the other two.
Yeah. We are hoping to have something that caters to a lot of different groups. We're calling it Bike Walk Hampton to go along with the plan. It is on Saturday, September 24th from 8 a.m. to noon, based at Carousel Park, which is 602 Settlers Landing Road. And we are going to have group bike rides, which are going to be led by members of the Peninsula Bicycling Association.
And Tregg's already promised he's going to ride slower than his usual pace so that the rest of us can keep up.
Absolutely, nobody dropped.
Nobody dropped.
And varying lengths, so something for everyone. There'll be one that's a mile long, so if you've never ridden a bike very far, or if you want to ride with your kids, can come do that.
Hey, there's a lot of kids that could go farther than I could on a bike.
Yeah, and we're gonna have, we're gonna have a closed kids course. So if your kid wants to come practice riding their bike around that course and kind of practice their safety skills, and there should be some supplies for them to decorate their bike if they would like to do that. And then on the running front, there are going to be 2 running routes, and those will be led by members of the Peninsula Track Club. And one of those will be about a mile long, also taking advantage of our downtown waterfront walkway.
Oh, you know, nobody hardly knows about that.
Yeah, it's kind of
that's a great idea.
Hidden. And then we're also, for people that would like to come and get out and about, but want a little bit more of a relaxed pace, we're going to do a walking tour that has a history aspect to it, and that'll be led by someone from the Hampton History Museum.
That's cool how you're pulling all of these elements together with education, with Hampton, with physical activity, you know, something that's good for all of us.
And then there's also going to be a history biking tour. So if you want to ride your bike, but you're worried that Tregg might go too fast, or that you don't have enough stops along the way, or you just want to know more about history, this will have different stopping points, be a shorter route, get in some of the history, also get to...
Will someone lead that, or do we just get off at the historical markers?
That will be led by the Hampton History Museum as well.
That's so cool.
And then there will be a DJ just to kind of get that festival atmosphere going. We'll be talking about the bike and pedestrian plan if you're dying to know more about what's going to be in that document. There should be some vendors on site. Peninsula Bicycling Association
will be there.
If you want to know more about their organization, we should have some of the Hampton Bicycle Police on hand.
That's
let
great.
you know.
That's great. And they're
that
good
you
with
can
the
talk to.
safety, and I hope
Yeah.
they'll participate in the rides. That's
Yeah.
a good way to interact with families and things like that.
I believe we will have an art project going on as well, hopefully a mural, but that we're still nailing that down as well.
Wow, that's a lot to pack in over 4 hours, right?
Yeah, so hopefully many different options going on for different people. And so that's something that we really wanted for people to come and see that there are opportunities for biking and walking in Hampton, even though we haven't been able to yet build all the infrastructure that the plan calls for, that there are opportunities for getting outside. September is also bicycle and pedestrian safety awareness.
Well, and I think let's get back to that safety aspect. So there's a lot of different elements to that. Some of it is bicyclists following the rules of the road. I know, as much as it pains me to say, I have seen bicyclists who are out for speed, who don't necessarily stop for those red lights, who don't necessarily obey all those rules, and I've certainly seen a lot of motorists who are a little scary, a little disrespectful, getting behind you, honking. So educating everybody. How do we educate the motorists? So.
Well, that is one thing that we've talked about with the plan is perhaps in the future we have to do a larger public education campaign, but making people aware of this event can be a small step in the right direction.
Well, I think seeing a group ride helps them. If it's one person, it's easy to look past it. It's easy to not pay a lot of attention. If you are a motorist and there's a group of bicyclists, you're going to pay more attention. You're going to be a little bit aware. So there's some awareness on that side, I hope, that will develop.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that simply feel safer riding in a group. A lot of folks in our club don't do a whole lot.
That's why you guys do group rides,
They don't
right?
do a whole lot of solo rides, but they'll come out for a group ride because you've got 10 or 20 people. It's a lot easier to see that on the road than the individual cyclist.
Well,
So-
also the group rides on the weekend, you're not quite fighting that rush hour traffic,
Well, we have those. Well, we've got group rides every day of the week as well. York County, Hampton, Newport News, Poquoson. So we have those as well. You try to schedule around traffic and maybe not hit the high traffic corridors, say on a Wednesday at rush hour. But, yeah.
But you ride to work a lot.
I do,
At
as
Langley.
often as possible. I actually have more miles on my bike than I do on my car.
Wow.
So I'm trying to keep it that way.
Wow.
But once you get into, you do a little digging, it's really not that hard. It's one of the jokes that I use, people talk about cycling back and forth to work. If the fat man can do it, you can do it. It's really not that hard.
Well, and that's a little bit what this event is about, is it gets you over that hurdle. Some of it is perception and fear, and once you do it a few times, there's some study about how many times you have to do something to make it routine, but
Right.
you become a little bit more accustomed to it, I think, and take away the fear element.
And actually, with the drivers too, the more people we actually have on the roads riding,
Right.
the more common it becomes, the more motorists see it,
And they're
it
aware.
becomes more natural, if you will, for them. They see, they learn. And a lot of times with motorists, some people are going to be jerks, and that's just
Yep.
That's
who
just
they
it.
are. They're a jerk to you if you're in a car, too.
right. But usually what I found, it's people not knowing what the rules are or not being comfortable trying to pass a cyclist because they don't want to hurt you. They want to get to where they're going, but they're not comfortable.
So, are we allowed to ask what the timetable is for the plan? What some of the things that are going to be recommended with the recognition that this is a very long-term plan?
Sure, this is a very long-term plan. There are program recommendations and policy recommendations, and those include things like we have a steering committee for the plan, making a more formal long-term steering committee to help us going forward with enacting things. And then there are also things that are specific project recommendations for making on-street changes. And some of those will be more shorter term. There are projects where when we need to repave a road, it's wide enough for us to add bike lanes to it. Or when we're doing routine sidewalk improvements through a neighborhood, we can make those improvements. Or we've noted that we have a pretty good sidewalk, but we're missing a chunk and we need to add that. And then there are areas where this road is kind of scary to ride a bike on, and even if you are very comfortable, it's probably not a good recommendation to tell someone to ride their bike here. So we would recommend an off-road path, an off-street path called a shared use path. And that's something that we would have to put into the capital improvement plan and probably seek a revenue match for, some shared funding match for. And that's something longer term. And it's hard to say exactly how long it's going to take to accomplish everything. In total, there are 30 miles of recommendations in the plan. And some of that depends on how much the community supports this. We did find that we got 650 almost survey responses. So there are a lot of people in the community that do find this important, and that was very encouraging. And this is hopefully an event that people are excited about. I think as a kid, running and biking are things that are make people very happy, and hopefully this gives people an opportunity to come out and do something that brings them joy again. And also this is a way for people to show the city that this is something that they care about as well. And I think the general community
that people really do care about it, and that it's on a lot of different ends of the spectrum. You know, I thought it would be the younger people, maybe who were more physically active, but I found a lot of baby boomers. You know,
it's a pretty broad
have reached
spectrum.
the point where we want, we need to take better care of our health. And there's a lot of environmental reasons. There's a lot of community reasons where you want to be out interacting with your neighbors and your community and feel more a part. There's parking issues, there's, there's a whole lot of things that interrelate here.
Right.
And that's one of the things that that this plan helps address too is infrastructure such as bike parking, encouraging businesses to establish bike parking and getting more of that in place so people feel comfortable riding down to the local grocery store. There's a place where you can actually lock your bike up, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a great idea. There are several places downtown, but a lot of people just use light poles. I mean, in front of the restaurants, you will almost always see bikes. But again, it is getting people more comfortable, more used to it, which is a huge part of what your event is going to be. So where can people get more details, Alison?
Hampton.gov/bike walk. That's the project website.
And it's also on our calendar. And safety tips are going to be there. You're going to be teaching people, and you're going to be having a lot of fun. Now, you said there were different rides. Can you give people an idea?
Sure.
Maybe not the whole route, but a little bit about them or how long they're going to be?
Sure. One, I'm going to get my cheat sheet.
Okay, that's fair.
One, we're calling it the Kick-A-Tan ride. It's probably more of an advanced ride. I'm going to use these terms loosely. It's one of our longer rides. It's a little bit under 9 miles, and it's leaving from Carousel Park and going down Chesapeake Avenue corridor. And then the Buckrow ride, if you'd like to make a longer ride, you can connect these together. It will also leave from Carousel Park, and then it's going out towards Buckrow Beach direction. It's about 8 miles. And then the downtown ride, that's our very beginner kind of ride. It's a mile, and it makes kind of a square around the downtown, around some of our downtown streets. And then there's another downtown Old Hampton ride that's about 2.5 miles. Makes a bigger loop through downtown. And then one going up King Street. It's a pretty straight shot, but takes advantage of the shared use path on King Street going up and back.
I meant to say, that's really
miles.
our one example in the city of when you say shared use path, if people want to see one, it is on the reconstructed
For biking and walking,
King
yes.
Street.
And that path, there are plans to continue that path on in a longer fashion. So that is the beginning of what will be there. And then the runs, there's a waterfront run that'll be about 1 mile that takes advantage of the waterfront path. And then a downtown kind of neighborhood run that will take advantage of going through Pasture Point and then also through the Victoria Boulevard neighborhood. And then the History Biking Tour goes through the downtown area, as does the History Walking Tour.
That's great. That sounds like a lot of fun. Thank you for working on this project. And especially, it's Alison's job. I mean, I thank her too. But Tregg, you're a volunteer.
Yes, we could not do it.
And you're doing this out of, concern for the community and bicyclists and people
Well,
who have similar goals. So
just doing my part.
I appreciate
We
that.
could not do it without lots of volunteers.
We need more volunteers. That's great. Okay, thank you guys very much. I look forward to the event. Thank you for watching. I hope you will join us. It's a great time to bike or walk with a group, to feel more secure, to learn more about safety, and to maybe begin an effort to do more, to be more physically active and connect with the community. Thanks for watching.